Musk there. What's happening?
I want to preface this by we talked about Elon last week, Rob, and full disclosure to everyone, I am a stockholder of one of Elon's competitors. I actually did buy Lucid stock. Okay, so full disclosure to everyone, I am biased. Okay, the other part of that we talked about last week was I bought a lot of Twitter stock because I actually believe what Elon Musk was saying, and I'm kind of getting screwed right now. Okay. As of right now, of course, Elon is dragging his feet. He is saying that he does not want to buy Twitter. And I'm a little bit upset about that. So full disclosure, folks, I'm not the biggest fan of Elon Musk right now. Okay. I'm just putting that out there. I just want to be honest with everyone. So I have actually, it's a tweet that I have here. And let's see if I can bring it up. So I'll bring up actually our profile there. Rob, can you see it okay?
Yeah.
And then let's see. Here is actually the man's tweet. Can you see it? Ukraine-Russian peace. Do you see it?
Yeah.
So it says, this is Elon Musk's proposal for peace in Ukraine. Okay. So it says, this is direct. You can see the check mark. This is from Elon Musk's actual account on Twitter, which once again, he said he was going to buy. Now he doesn't want to buy. Now they're trying to force him to buy it. The stuff doesn't happen in a vacuum, so I want to provide some context. But he says, Ukraine-Russian peace. Point 1, redo elections of annexed regions under UN supervision. Russia leaves if that is the will of the people. For people that don't know, Russia had a sham election in the provinces of Ukraine that they have occupied. Literally, the results said like 98, 99% approval, which that never happens in elections. So we know it's a sham. So Elon Musk's first point is redo the elections, but this time the UN's going to do it and it'll be fair. Point number 2, Crimea, formerly part of Russia, which is true. Crimea was part of Russia. It says Crimea, formerly part of Russia as a statement, as it has been since 1783 until Khrushchev's mistake. Now, whether Khrushchev made a mistake or not, I think is irrelevant. I don't know why I even put that in there. Historically, yes, it's true that Crimea has been part of Russia since around that time, but that's neither here nor there because it was taken forcibly. That's kind of, in my mind, it's like, again, we're not really going anywhere. Water supply to Crimea assured. Yes, I do know that has been an issue, that the Ukrainians have cut off water to Crimea, but it's their water. They have a right to do that. That's what happens when you're upstream as opposed to downstream. And then the last point is Ukraine remains neutral, which, of course, if Ukraine remains neutral, guess what? That just means that the Russians can invade them anytime they want. So, Rob, I'm curious what your reaction is. You kind of heard my opinions. Let's hear what you got to say on this issue and what Elon Musk had to say.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I saw, I believe it was yesterday, I saw the president of Ukraine and his 2 other partners in the middle of the street sign into NATO. We're now part of NATO. Did you see that part?
Yes, I know that Ukraine formally has requested to join NATO, and I believe the last article I read said there's about 9 countries that have approved that, probably like the Baltics, Poland, some of those countries. But there are 30 members. I just want to point out there are 30 members of NATO. All of them have to approve Ukraine coming in, and that hasn't happened yet.
I have a pretty good idea. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I mean, why not? What, you're just going to tell them no? You're going to tell any country no? I mean, come on. If you want UN protection, hey, they're going to say no. You're just 5 million people or 2 or 3 million people over there that really doesn't mean anything, or that's what I feel about it. I think Ukraine, as dirty as some of them are over there, they're still people, man. Hey, you want to be part of the UN? Be part of the UN. And as far as what Elon Musk is saying, good for him. Jump in there, throw some weight around, throw throw a few billions around, slap a few heads, hey, it's just the way it is. Personally, I think Russia needs. There's something wrong with him, Putin. There's something wrong with him. If the guy's dying, or he's, or got some head issues or something, or maybe the women in his life ain't working out very well, or something, whatever the problem is, leave that shit at home, man. Just and leave everybody else alone. Just that's my thoughts.
And we have to put some context into this, because right now the Ukrainians are kicking ass. They are kicking ass. They're taking names.
Yes,
they just took Lehman. And so the Russians are very much falling back on their heels right now. They've completely underperformed. I never would have guessed that the Russians would have been this incompetent. I really never would have guessed that. And most experts did not. Most experts thought this war would be over in about 72 hours. It would be just like the first Gulf War. Remember, like the first Gulf War, the ground assault was about 72 hours till we kicked the Iraqis out of Kuwait. And pretty much this wasn't about kicking them out of anywhere. Most experts thought Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, would fall, within that 72-hour margin. Like they didn't give credit to the Ukrainians at all. Well, so it's been pretty shocking just how badly the Russians have performed in this war and how well the Ukrainians have performed.
Well, Russia is not Russia anymore. Russia, I forget how many years it's been now. They're just, Russia's like Southern California compared to California. It's like
I like that.
It's nothing. It's just this. It's like, hey, dude, what's up? Some surfers down south and surfers up north. It's just all there is. It's gone. And surfers are cool, but that's a different story. But they're a tiny little country now. Russia's, and the people of Russia are still strong. They love their country. They really do. They're all good people. Everybody's good, man. There's always bad people, and it's usually the government or governments that think they own your money and everything about you, and they're trying to control our lives, and it's not working out very well for Russia right now. And meanwhile, as we were saying last show, hey, the men are taking a run for it. They're running. They don't even want to fight. They're like, no, not for you, dude. This has. Come on, really? You want us to go over there and wipe out or try to wipe out these Ukrainians? Come on, man. They're fighting for everything right now.
They're fighting for their country. They're fighting for their country's existence,
It's like going up against ninjas from Japan. Just you ain't gonna touch them. They're badass, and they're what they remind me of? They remind me of warriors, native warriors. That's what just ruthless. Don't mess with them. If you want to mess with them, you're gonna get your ass kicked. And they don't want to mess with you. But if you want to cross the line and just stepping into their country is like stepping through their front door, literally their house. And man, I can see it. Everybody knows it. Nobody wants to, for any of this to happen. But hey, man, Putin, I hate to say it, and here's the thing, it sucks. He gets nukes.
Yeah.
And the guys, there's something wrong with him. And, I've in my life, some of the jobs I've had in the past, I've had to deal with psychopaths and sociopaths before, and they'll smile at you just right when they're getting ready to stab you.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of Putin. Putin he'll sit there and stare at you, and he has that big red button in front of him, and he'll just hit it because he's pissed, and it's not, and just, just to show how strong he is, pressing a red button. Come on, really?
And the paradox is he's actually showing how weak he is.
Yeah,
that he has to
that's
do that,
exactly
because
right.
that's to me, that's actually a sign of profound weakness. That shows just how bad the Russian military is, that he's even putting it out there that he might be using nuclear weapons, because
You know,
that just smacks of desperation to me.
it's funny. I was looking at. I'm a good character of judgment after a lot of years of deal with really bad people, and when I was watching Putin talking his big shindig that he had with all his generals and all his top brass and politicians, and the looks in their eyes when they're, and first of all, just to paint the picture, here they are in this huge auditorium, and there's Putin up on stage about 50, 60 feet from anybody. Okay,
Right.
he's not, nobody's sitting right in front of him.
Nope.
And everybody's,
And he doesn't have like a backdrop like at our
no,
political rallies, right? We'll have a backdrop with all these
yeah,
people. Like, I've seen
yeah,
the Trump rallies where there's all these people behind Trump.
yeah.
Putin doesn't do that,
Oh
because he
no,
doesn't
no,
trust anybody
no,
behind him. He doesn't.
that's right.
That's a
Yeah,
psychological problem. You can tell he does not trust having people
that's right.
behind him, right?
And the look in their eyeballs, the ones looking at him, they weren't happy.
They
Their
look
faces,
dead. If you're talking
yeah,
about the speech I saw, they look like zombies. Like they're just sitting there, like,
yeah, well,
you know.
yeah, exactly.
And then every once
And
in a while they go, "Oh, we're supposed to clap."
yeah, that's
Oh.
right. And I bet you any money, I bet you they're sitting there with cameras weren't showing. They were showing probably above the screen was probably dudes up there with long range rifles pointing right at them, and probably had a couple of blue dots, little red dots on people's foreheads, and they just weren't showing it on camera, and that's why
do you remember, like, I think it was actually Airplane 2 when they show the Soviet reporter and he's got a gun to his head as he's doing all the reports of the of the space shuttle crashing or whatever. He's like,
yeah.
that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. I'm sitting here watching this thing, and I'm like, are you guys happy about this? I can see you're not too happy. So to me, the look in their eye was, we're gonna get you. We're gonna get you, dude. We're not with you on this. We're here. We're gonna clap because you're telling us to, because you have guns pointing at us, and you probably have signs that say applaud now or you die. And
Right.
that's the end of it. And oh my God. I mean, what a hell of a life to live like that. I would never, man, those Russians need to get off their asses and get rid of him. And pull their asses out of that 1940, 50s, 60s era that they're all still living in. Only the rich.
Well, look at their military. If you know anything about military tactics, the tactics they're using are World War II era tactics, if not World War I. You know what I mean? Like,
it's terrible.
It's not modern combined arms warfare as we understand it in the United States. It's something completely different what they're doing right now. And it's crazy. It's crazy.
The U.S. I wouldn't be surprised if the U.S. We got the shit. We always have, and now that another 20 years went by again, which, I mean, don't age me now, but the 20 years just snap, boom, here it is, right? They damn well they got dudes, probably get anybody in the forces. They're young, probably 18 to 25 max, and they're sitting back behind some high resolution monitors with little joysticks, and they just do what they need to do, and everything's just a big game now on a monitor, and it's real life for us to destroy things. And we actually don't even have to put guys on the ground unless we absolutely have to, dig you out of a hole like Saddam Hussein and the rest of them, those little rats. We just dig them out of the hole and take them out. But if we don't have to dig you out of a hole, we'll shoot something down the hole from 10,000 miles away.
It amazes me again, being more specific, like the Russian Air Force, like where is it? What is it doing? Like it on paper, they outnumber the Ukrainian Air Force immensely, and this shouldn't even be a thing. But the Ukrainian Air Force is still operating, which I find insane that they're still actually flying sorties. The Ukrainian Air Force, they should have been annihilated on paper, but the Russians are so bad, they can't knock them out. They can't do it.
It's because nobody wants to fight. I bet you any money, when they sound the alarm to go to war, only maybe I'll just throw a number out there. Say there's 100 aircraft, and it's out there on the tarmac, ready to go, spin fueled. They get primers going, everything's getting ready to go, and the alarm goes off, beep, 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 right, and then all of a sudden, like 20 dudes come running out. That's it. And that's it. That's everybody. And they jump inside, they fire them up, and there's 80 aircraft still on the ground because nobody wants to go kill. I can say those words because that's exactly what you're doing. Going out there and trying to wipe out these Ukrainians. And that's what's happening. I can see
the other thing they say, Rob, is that like those 80 planes, maybe they can't fly.
Yeah.
Because the Russian military is so like they don't have enough spare parts. They're just and here's what's really been happening.
They're old.
But the other thing I think has been happening is the regime is so corrupt that guys are pocketing money. We know that was happening. We know that was happening with the intelligence service because one of the things that happened early in the war is Putin got really mad at the intelligence service, and most of those guys are now under house arrest if they haven't been executed. Okay, and we're talking about the successors of the KGB. What those guys were supposed to do was they were supposed to have all these operations lined up in Ukraine with all these sympathizers, right? I mean, like about a third of the Ukrainians are Russian. Zelensky himself is like half Russian, okay? So it's like they were supposed to have all this like, fifth column type stuff, these partisans ready to go. You know what happened is they just pocketed the money. They didn't do any of that stuff. They just put it in their pocket.
Yeah,
literally, that's what happened.
That's that dirty crap. Yeah.
And these are supposed to be the best. These are like I said, these are like the successors of the KGB, the GSR. These are supposed to be like the best. These are supposed to be the elites, and they just pocketed the money.
Yeah.
Because they thought they were just going to waltz in, and they were like, "What's the point? Why do we need to do all this stuff?" And then Putin found out about it after the fact, and now most of these guys are under house arrest. Like I said, a lot of them have probably been executed. Okay.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, they're not telling us everything. Russia is in bad shape. All they got is old, ancient nukes. Okay. Now they did build some hypersonic missiles. Okay, they don't have a lot of them, but they do have a couple. And I bet you any money that dumb son of a bitch is probably going to try to sneak a couple past us, probably over the North Pole or something. And because it's not too far over. And what an asshole. Come on, man. I get the power trip. Okay, great. But, and we talked about this last time. You would be stronger uniting the world than killing everybody. We're threatening to wipe out the world, half the world.
Yeah.
Because damn well it's going to happen. He fires off a couple of nukes. I don't care how many he shoots at us. His entire country is vaporized, gone.
Yeah.
And gone. And I feel sorry for the people. And hopefully, our Star Wars program that they said they got rid of, now it's called the Space Force. We'll see how good they are. We'll see how good Trump hooked that up. Let's Biden.
But I hope we
Excuse
don't
me.
get to see how good they are,
No,
Rob.
no,
I hope that does not happen. So
no, I know what you're saying, but you know what? I hope that nothing does happen because nobody wants it to happen. But on the other hand, if the asshole's going to hit some buttons and start shooting some shit at us, you know what? I'll take him out. And I want to see it. I want to watch it. And, you know, hopefully they do it at nighttime. We can see it at night over the globe. So, you know, we can see it at nighttime. We just sit back with popcorn and watch it happen. I mean, just Russia, not Russia, but Putin is out of control. And hopefully we can shut him down fast enough before he can hurt us and everybody else in the damn world. We don't need his crap, and the people need to get rid of him. But speaking of,
I just want to mention what I'm really hoping for, though, because of this mobilization. I'm hoping that there's going to be a mutiny in the military, and that Russia has a history of this. Okay, Russia has a history of this.
Right.
This is what happened to the Tsar. Okay,
exactly
they overextended themselves in World War I. There was a mutiny, and that led to a revolution. There was a mutiny in the ranks, and a lot of these conscripts I'm hearing are actually political dissidents, and that could be the checkmate that Putin has done to himself, because he's trying to send his political dissidents to the front to die. Do you think they want to fight? You think they're going to fight?
Mm-hmm.
If anything, they're going to surrender. Okay, they're just going to surrender. But you know what? These guys, if they're giving them weapons, right, which you assume they are, I don't know, it could be enemy of the gate stuff where it's every other man gets a gun. I don't know. The Russians are known to do shit like that. But the thing is, if these guys are being armed, hey, maybe we'll have a mutiny. Maybe we'll have a revolution. That's my hope, that the Russians will take care of this themselves. You know what I mean? And NATO won't have to be involved. We won't have to be involved. And then they'll just leave Ukraine alone, you know, and then they'll have their own problems to deal with.
I think exactly what you just said is true. And I believe if they put their hands up and say, you know, give up, you know, okay, you know, whatever. And by the way, hit them in the back door around the corner, that'll knock them out. I mean, and that's the end of it, you know. And hopefully that works. And like I said, he's so distant from his own people and his own, we'll just call it his party, that you can't even talk. You can't get close to him to even talk to him. I think everybody's scared of him. They won't even get close to him because he'll just kill you. Or have you whacked right there on the spot. You go, hey, dude, I didn't like the way you said, hey, get out of office. You know, kill him. You know, it's just, no.